Clinohumite, a stone I'd never heard of, turns out like clear gold. It's absolutely fantastic. Watch it till the end to see.
Have we got a rare treat? This is orange Clinohumite. I'd never heard of it before. Apparently it's rare. This is such a nice piece that I've got a hard job believing it's real, but it's supposed to be. It's got a refractive index of 1.67, I believe. My phone can acknowledge my existence. Hang on. .662 to 1.674. Not sure how hard it is, but we'll find out. So we're going to cut it, and I think for the first time I'm going to attempt a sort of square, and we're going to do something different with this. So join me. Should be good. So on this Clinohumite, I'm just going to knock off some of the rough edges, take a look at what shape we end up with once I get rid of any sort of small little fractures in there, and see what we can cut. So pre-form time. So it's got a natural Q-lip point there, sharp end. So let's just try and use that. So here we go. This is our plan this time. A chevron cushion. Hopefully you can see that. Looks very nice. I've roughly preformed the stone to a square, because that's roughly what it calls for. Now, I've also designed on Microsoft Excel a handy little sort of sheet with a couple of boxes that you can just put in the width and the various bits of information that a plan gives you, and it comes out with the exact sizes. So that's what we're going to use, but I'm just going to start by squaring off everything just to make sure we're accurate. It's going to get noisy, so I'll make a start. We've squared it off-ish because it's almost a perfect square, but not quite. And we're going in for the first set of facets, which is on Pavilion, and it's 41.53. I'm not going to worry too much about the 3. But 41.5, and it's on index wheel or index mark 6. So here we go. Power on, 280 disc, and let's see what happens. I'm thinking this is softish, but we'll see as we go. And as with any of the first Pavilion facets, we're cutting to get a central point, and once we've got the central point, we'll just build it around that. Right, according to my eyes, we've got beyond the cleavage, so that's lovely. It's definitely a stone to cut with a 500, and it cuts beautifully on that. So second row of facets is set at 41 degrees precisely. And we're going at 12, and again we're cutting to the 9, 10, 11, 12. We're cutting to the to the Q-lip. So we've now got a very pronounced point. Let's go for it. Wind it up and gradually see how we go. Almost there. Looks good to me. Okay. So that's the first row, the first lot of the second facets in, and I'm just going to follow the plan and gradually lay them in, culminating there at the Q-lip. That forms the mirror, the reflection of the stone. What's happened? Is Coronation Street on now?
Probably in a second.
What, start one or finish one?
Well, that's only just started, isn't it?
Oh. Right. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous stone. I love it to bits. So we've got the first lot of pavilion facets in, and although there's no instructions as such on the plan, the next lot to put in is at 90 degrees. So I suspect they're assuming that we've got the right size stone, and we're now going to set in the pavilion facets, which will then form the shape of the rest of the stone. So let's do that, and that's at 90. So we're gradually dragging the girdle facet along. We've done the first one, and now on to the second one until it meets at the central point there. And when you get close to a meet point, it's worth cutting little and often and checking. Okay. Now again, I don't know how much this camera picks up, but I'll attempt to focus it when I edit. But you can see we've now got the two first girdle meet points right in the centre. So we then flip it over and go for the other two, which is 70. We know roughly where we are, so I'm just offering it up. Right, that'll do for a night's work, I think. The stone is a beautiful thing. It's like cutting clear gold, and it cuts nicely. And what we've basically got there is the first lot of pavilion facets in and the girdle facets in. It's not intuitive because it doesn't have a proper sort of meet point, but the second row of facets bring this down, I believe, anyway, by the look of the plan, but only time will tell. So we'll find that out together. But it's lovely. So far, so good. So I think that'll do for tonight. I'll go and join the missus and watch the end of Coronation Street. You know the drill. And we'll meet up again tomorrow and put some polishing in so we get some clear lines that we can then put the second row of facets onto. Good night, everybody. So, Christmas Eve, and we're about to do the delivering of the parcels round with masks and not going in. Or we might be going in, I don't know. The chief's in charge of everything. 74, so we're on the polishing stage, catching a couple of moments of sanity before it all starts. and I'm just polishing a little bit of the top end of the girdle. Interesting comment from a gentleman from Canada about the obsidians I've been faceting, suggesting that they aren't real obsidian. My whole ethos at the moment is just to practice faceting, and it's a case of buyer beware when you buy jewels, gems, and an awful lot of the gems out there for sale in certain famous selling facilities, shall we say, are going to be man-made. And even though the description says it's a genuine article, probably isn't. But if you go into it with your eyes open wide and you buy something like man-made corundum like this, you know that this is genuine man-made corundum. You know certain gems priced between £20–30 are the genuine article because that's the genuine price of it. But when you can buy certain things like obsidian for £6 or £7, you go into it knowing that, yeah, it looks nice, it looks clear, but it's not genuine. But it doesn't detract from the fact that when you learn to facet, you need faceting material. And if you go in realising that some of it is probably not going to be genuine, well, that's absolutely fine, you're getting your practice in. I'm not expert enough to know that what somebody professes to be something genuine is or not, but I go into it realising that I'm not paying a fortune for these pieces of rough, and it gives me the practice that I need to facet. So usual buyer beware thing, but you know, if it's cheap, there's a reason for it to be cheap. And if anybody knows a decent source of well-priced, genuine rough, pass it on, let us know. It would be good to have some trusted sources out there for when I've got beyond the teaching myself how to facet, to be able to buy some, what I know is genuine stuff, to facet. Incidentally, you don't really want to start faceting life with a genuine ruby or something that costs you £1,000. It's just not a wise thing to do. 12. But it does not detract from the beauty of and the enjoyment that you get from faceting a piece of rough, whatever it is, that looks beautiful. Just popping this over the edge because we're missing out on faceting the top part of the facet. Raising this up slightly, and that will concentrate the pressure towards the top edge. Anyway, I'll carry on doing that. I hope you're all enjoying your Christmas Eve, or I hope you all will have enjoyed your Christmas Eve. I'll carry on. Talking of buying gems and crystals, I did discover. Hello.
Hello.
It's the wife.
The wife.
Creeping up behind me.
Bringing you substance, Philip.
Thank you. We did discover a little place down the road from us, Glastonbury, which is one of these psychedelic ley line filled Glastonbury tour mystical places that we have in the UK, and a fascinating place to visit, full of crystal shops. So yeah, there were some nice genuine crystals for sale there. But it's a weird place to visit because you're walking down the road and you'll see people dressed as witches and wizards. It's like going to a Harry Potter village near Hogwarts. Well worth a visit. But that's a place where you can pop into a shop and buy crystals. That some of them are fashionable. I'll enjoy my coffee a minute. So, here we are. That is one lovely, lovely stone. So what I've done is polished the initial pavilion facets, and to some extent polished a little bit of the girdle, and that's the first pavilion facets. We're now going on to the more complicated number 7, which brings this edge down hopefully straight. And it does get complicated because there's 2 facets involved in doing that on each one of those little V shapes there. So I'm going to use perhaps the 3000 disc, so we can go very gentle with this and then straight to polishing. So I'm hoping you can see that, in that this little facet here is going to be growing up towards the Q-lit as it stretches out towards the edge of the first facet, and if the cutting we've done is correct, we then should have a perfectly straight girdle. Slow speed on the disc, because this could easily be overcut if you're not watching it. Okay, so as we've laid that second facet in up here, it's come across to the girdle line, and the girdle line is now straightened. So what will happen next is we'll lay the facet in on this second area just here. Then the 2 should meet in the middle. Job done. Okay, now hopefully you can see that again. One day I'll be able to afford a new camera. And the girdle line there is totally joined, as has the middle line with those 2 new facets, and that has formed that part of the gem. Right, let's follow this through, this plan. So it's Christmas Day, and her favourite program's on, Coronation Street. So guess what, I got to play. So what I'm doing is just finishing off the first of the crown facets. Yay! So question for everybody, are there many UK facetors out there? Because I haven't come across many. It'd be good to be in contact with a few people. Facetors in the rest of the world, not a problem. I've set these next set of delicate facets on a certain height, and I'm just putting the stone across just to lightly touch the disc until I get to the right point. So I don't know how much of that you can see, but we're gradually putting in the facets, and on this design there's a lot of facets on the crown. If it works out, it should be spectacular. Anyway, to continue. Right, I think I'm going to call it quits for Christmas Day, because we're now getting into some very delicate facets on the crown, and I need to be fully awake for doing that, as opposed to stuff full of turkey and chocolate and anything else that way. So I hope you all had a good Christmas. I have. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so what we're going to do now is polish the facets that we've done so far on the crown. That just helps with putting in the smaller facets in, because we can see the lines more clearly. So start from the beginning on the crown, 40.35. You can instantly see by just a light touch, hopefully, that one of those facets is beautifully clear. Right, let's go on to the next one. Right, so I've swapped over for the 1200 disc, which is a very fine disc, and we're going to lay in now some of the very small facets. If you can hear popping noises in the background, it's because it's Boxing Day, day after Christmas, and because we live near the countryside, you can hear the hunt going on somewhere. Obviously some poor pheasants are getting slaughtered, but we're creating. Now hopefully you can see there the advantages of polishing and then putting in the fine facets as you go along, purely because it's far easier to see the meat points. Next one, 31.38, and finally 74. As you cut more of the stone away, the facets arrive a lot quicker, because there's less resistance and less stone to get to. So when you get to these small delicate parts, it really is tap look, tap look. So now it's the table. Again, this is the bit where I'm going to stick with the 1200, because it's a fine disc, and again we don't want to overdo it. Can't find my splashback things, so we'll just get wet. Okay, getting gently lower. Right, so we've roughed out the table and the final facets, and we're ready for polishing. But the first thing I'm going to do, because we're now at the most important part, is clean up this disc. Now, the table being the biggest facet, it can take some time, but it's a part that shouldn't be rushed, it shouldn't be forced. Okay, so that's the table done. We've just got the fine facets around the table to do, which I'll do now. And what I'm doing is just tweaking the cheater there, so it just angles the facet ever so slightly in one side or the other of the facet. I'll carry on, show you the end result.
You know what I'm going to say? Like, subscribe and share. It helps a lot. And I hope you all have a fantastic new year. Thanks for watching.